I'm a domestic engineer, and I'm working with Southeast Energy Agency. Really working, I suppose, a passionate area of myself is working in domestic retrofitting, really working with vulnerable and few poor homeowners who, I suppose, need awareness and assistance and in understanding, I suppose, the benefits of domestic retrofitting and the how, the where, and the why. As I said, the energy agency itself started in 2002 with Carlow and Kilkenny Energy Agency, with one staff, I suppose, which is now our CEO. 2017, Wexford local authority and county joined, where we transitioned to 3 SEEA. And in 2002, Waterford also joined, which is now we're primarily have the majority of the southeast. So I suppose rather than going to 4 SEEA in case we grow again, we challenged ourselves to being the Southeast Energy Agency. Again, just work again, I work primarily in the residential sector, but we also work in community projects, commercial projects, work in various public sector, agriculture, and some transport projects. Again, our main aim is to just assist and help deliver kind of projects and really aggregate and work locally and regionally, I suppose, to make more energy efficient and help the just transition. Mainly it's great to, I suppose, reduce, minimise and assist everyone working together to help, I suppose, analyse and then minimise the key barriers and challenges, which from, I suppose, working within one-stop shops and EU Peers really, I suppose, as collaboration, we've identified, I suppose, similar barriers, not only within Ireland, I suppose, but across Europe. And I suppose it's key now, I suppose, to identify them and then put in some solutions. So as an area for myself is we offer support to all citizens, I suppose, really vulnerable and kind of low-income homeowners, but also community projects. So I suppose they're aware of the benefits and I suppose the barriers to delivering retrofits, but also allowing them locally and regionally, I suppose, to navigate and come together to ensure a just transition. So as from the one-stop shop point of view, I suppose we partner with different assessors, technical advisors, financial institutions, because as we all, anyone that's worked in residential sector knows that I suppose financing costs is a key area, especially when we're working with vulnerable and few poor tenants. Just to touch on, and I'll go into some focus really today because it's a short presentation, is our Southeast Energy Agency and our kind of domestic one-stop shop model. So we're all here really because we know that, I suppose, retrofitting and renovations can be a really complex and daunting task, especially for a homeowner who may not be technical. And also, I suppose, the main challenges and barriers where you're dealing with a lot of different actors, stakeholders throughout the process. And really, our concept for our one-stop shop model really was to help increase domestic renovations, particularly with vulnerable and few poor tenants, because these are the people that are living in the most inefficient homes and they need the most assistance, and probably also on the most low income. So what is the one-stop shop process with Southeast Energy Agency? It's to simplify, streamline, and really reduce the hassle-free burden and provide support to help increase renovation projects. As I touched on there, it can be overwhelming, but it can also be emotionally and financially draining. So one-stop shops were highlighted in the EPBD as key instruments in scaling domestic renovations. And just trigger note was it was highlighted that kind of generally you need a one-stop shop or a domestic delivery service for every 80,000 inhabitants. So it's just to note there, key, I suppose, that one-stop shops, in my opinion, will play and can play a crucial role in achieving our climate targets, while also ensuring a just transition where I suppose nobody is left behind. And I suppose the main focus here is what is the one-stop shop process and how our Southeast Energy Agency delivering homes. As you can see there on the bottom right, there's I suppose a long flow chart from the homeowner inquiry to the project delivery. And we'd like to break this down again to a stage 1, a stage 2, and a stage 3 process. Stage 1 is generally when the homeowner has an inquiry, and internally, I suppose whether that's through the website, email, a phone call, and we also do kind of energy clinics locally where we chat with vulnerable tenants and sit down and explain, I suppose, and answer their queries. So following that, we outline what is involved in a retrofitting process, where that's, I suppose, what's referred to as a shallow retrofit or a deep retrofit. Then we'll talk to the homeowner and decide they'll probably need, and within Ireland, we have the building energy rating scale, which is a scale from A to G, with A being the most efficient and G being the least efficient. So the first step, I suppose, in our process is to outline the baseline, and then we work with the homeowner to provide a home energy report. The home energy report provides a step-by-step guide for the homeowner in the most specific retrofitting elements for their home, based on a fabric first approach, where we look at the building envelope, the walls, roof, windows, doors, and floors. Then we look at the air tightness, ventilation, then a heating system, and then we look at a supplementary of renewable systems. Then I suppose once the homeowner has their energy audit report, then it's key and vital to sit down with the homeowner and I suppose go through any queries and explain the report. I suppose it's key really because we're working with non-technical people, and it's vital to use non-technical terms. Again, what we find is homeowners understand U values and I suppose very technical terms. So it's key to explain the report and make sure that they I suppose they understand the process and understand what is involved in the retrofitting. But what if the homeowner following this is looking to proceed? Then I suppose what we would say is we're going to stage 2. Stage 2 would be the procurement aspect, where we would procure the works highlighted in the energy report. I suppose South East Energy Agency, we have a DPS, which is a dynamic purchasing system. So it's an online framework where we have a panel of competent contractors where we work, I suppose, regionally and locally, depending on the project. And I suppose what is key for us is when the homeowner, I suppose, is going to delivery of the project. I suppose it's going to contract stage. Then we meet with the contractor and the homeowner on site, outline a program of works, estimated start to finish dates, and we then work with the homeowner on how they can finance the project. And we also work with financial institutions, banks, and credit unions, I suppose, to help the homeowner to see if they might need some financial aid. So part of my own major role throughout the process is the quality assurance aspect, because we provide inspections throughout the works to ensure that, I suppose, all works completed are up to the relevant standards and specifications. Once the project is completed, and this is often an area that is overlooked, it's key to talk to the customer, get customer feedback, and really explain to the homeowner, especially if they're vulnerable and elderly tenants, the difference between what they have now and what they used to have. What I mean that is, in a specific example, is we're promoting and installing heat pumps as opposed to older traditional heating systems, which I suppose work very differently, and it's vital that the homeowner understands how to operate the system. I suppose that was just a brief overview, because I know we don't have too much time, of, I suppose, how much there is, I suppose, from query to delivery in the retrofitting journey, again, and how cumbersome and overwhelming that it can be. And what I've found from working with homeowners is it can often be off-putting. So the key to our, I suppose, one-stop shop model is to simplify and reduce the burden for the homeowner and aggregate projects together so we can deliver at scale. suppose just to touch on, I suppose briefly last year, using our one-stop shop model, we worked and delivered 50 private homeowners, which included fuel poor tenants, and we delivered them under the SEEA Community Energy Grant Scheme. So the majority of the homes had building energy ratings from a C to a G, and following the works, 30 homes received an A-rated building, with the following 20 receiving a B1 rated. And as I talked earlier, we worked on and used a fabric first approach where we upgraded the building envelope. We reduced and increased the air tightness. We moved from natural ventilation to a mechanical ventilation system. Installed and changed the traditional, I suppose they were old fossil fuel boilers and open fires, and we installed the air to water heat pumps and solar PV. So working with the SEAI, we received between 30 and 60% grant funding. And again, that was depending on the works completed, and I suppose the different house types and I suppose the social aspects of the homeowner for fuel poor or non-fuel homeowners. Again, I suppose working in retrofitting homes since 2017, I suppose it's key to identify the key barriers to retrofitting. Really what we're finding here and in a lot of countries, I suppose, there is a lack of awareness, especially again when we're working with elderly and vulnerable homeowners. Can be cumbersome for the homeowner to know where to start, how do I start, what information is out there, what are the benefits, and why should I complete a domestic retrofit. In Ireland, we have a traditional mindset that my home is in winter, my house is supposed to be cold. And my mother would say to me, it's December, Colum, put on your jumper. And you're thinking, no, that's the mindset we have to change. Where I know my own home here for years, come the winter time, my ceiling was black, it's condensation on the windows and walls. But growing up, I suppose, in a regeneration area and growing on in this mid-terrace home, I suppose, that was the norm for me. Every winter, the ceiling gets black and you have to paint it. And it took me, I suppose, years to understand that is a traditional mindset that we all need to get away from, I suppose. And we need to really be living in cold, not living in cold, damp and mouldy homes. Especially in Ireland, I suppose, and I'm finding, as I said, we have a dynamic purchasing system, but there's a lack of skills and I say competent workforce. And that's throughout the entire value chain, I think. Again, in Ireland, there are some great programs we have here, but again, I suppose the waiting lists and also some of the administrative and I suppose bureaucratic elements can also increase the waiting list for some programs. I suppose we're working and promoting to kind of how can we reduce this, especially for fuel poor tenants. And the main barrier, and that's why I paused there, is finance. There are significant costs in retrofitting a home. And in Ireland now we have this home energy upgrade loan scheme where it's providing a low interest loan. And I have a slide later on where it's between 5 to 75,000 of a loan for retrofitting of a home. But again, and we often overlook the benefits, and I won't go too much into the direct and also really the indirect benefits. Retrofitting your home increases the property value. Again, there's also the environmental benefits, or reduced carbon footprint. Again, there's reduced utility bills. But depending if you're living, I suppose, in an inefficient and old home where you might have been living at 14 or 15 degrees and a retrofitted home now, you're living in more comfortable conditions of 18 to 20 degrees. We might not always see the expected reduction in the reduced utility bills, but this can't be overlooked, I suppose, with the increased thermal comfort, indoor air quality and quality of life. And again, there are significant health benefits, especially for vulnerable tenants who might have respiratory problems, breathing problems, asthmatics. I suppose what you're reading that it also reduces, I suppose, hospital visits. And so there, I suppose there are significant health benefits with increasing the indoor air quality and quality of your home. As I said, I put in this slide because it's one of the, I suppose, a new program that's been introduced in Ireland. Finance, I suppose, is key and a key barrier, I suppose, for the uptake in Ireland of retrofitting homes. We have, I
I'm sorry
suppose,
to interrupt, but if you could just maybe finish in 2 minutes so that we have time for
yeah.
questions. Possible? Thank you.
I'll just touch on, I suppose, the finance. Again, there's loans from 5 to 75,000, repayment term of 12 months to 10 years. Again, the big key here is they can be combined with our national SEEA home energy grants, as long as, I suppose, 75% of the loan must be used on home energy upgrade works. Because as we all know, when we're retrofitting a home, it's not only the retrofitting elements that are getting upgraded, there's also internal modifications, kitchens, there might be an extension. So I suppose it's key. It's not only the energy works that are getting completed. And I won't go too much into this, but I know because from our slides, it's always good to say, what are we doing right and what have Southeast Energy found positive over the last, I suppose, 12 months? We've created a community energy hub. And again, this has been key, I suppose, for the awareness for older homeowners. I suppose it's an energy hub where we provide energy upgrade guide, so simple cost saving energy tips, and I suppose energy upgrade questions for elderly tenants, where we go to when we've attended libraries once a month, I suppose, and sit down and chat to tenants and homeowners about how we can help, and I suppose in the benefits of retrofitting, and not only the one-stop shop process, but identifying your energy map, analysing your energy roadmap, and how can you get there, whether it's over 1 month or 10 years. And I suppose that's me. Thanks very much, everyone, for listening.